Andrew,
I think it's working.
your countdown's over.
I think we're doing it. Sorry. I'm checking. I gotta put us live on Rockfin still.
I get it. I should have like opened up, I guess.
No,
Listen,
you're good.
we're
You're
just
good.
trying to figure this shit out because I'm now our tech person. Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm not
Just
our tech
picking
person.
up jobs as you go.
Y'all,
Right.
okay, so our audience knows I am not tech savvy in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and I am now our tech person. So it's going to be a little rocky.
Somehow that happened in the last 2 weeks.
In the last 2 weeks, I've suddenly become the tech person and producer. I don't know how that happened. I don't actually appreciate it at all.
I
But here
picked
we
up
are.
baking because it was anti-technology.
Yeah, I'm just not very good at it, but I figured out some cool stuff. So, I'm
I'll
gonna get
just
better.
put on
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get better. I'm gonna
The
get
intro
better.
looked really good. I
I'm gonna
liked
get
it.
better. I'm going to get better. Promise. That's my promise to you guys out there. All right.
So numbers. We have 3,972 days of illegal and arbitrary detention for Julian Assange. We have 936 days since the WikiLeaks founder was trafficked from the Ecuadorian embassy after being sold to the US and the UK for a $4.2 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund to the nation of Ecuador. We have 297 days since Vanessa Breitzer's January 6th ruling denying Julian Assange bail after personally ordering his release and ruling no extradition in his case. It's 1,527 days of inhumane pretrial detention for the alleged Vault 7 whistleblower Joshua Schultz, and at least 1,065 of those days have been spent in special administrative measures. We have 935 days since the political persecution of Ola Bini started at the hands of the Ecuadorian government. We have 147 days since Commander X was illegally taken from Mexico and renditioned to the United States, where he's currently facing trial. We have 95 days since Daniel Hale pled guilty to a single charge under the Espionage Act. And it's been 11 days since he was transferred to the Communications Management Unit in the U.S. Penitentiary Marion in Southern Illinois. We have 97 days of detention served by Craig Murray so far for the crime of publishing. And the charges against him, the British Crown specifically cite his publication of Julian Assange's court trial for why he should be prosecuted and is such an impactful journalist. We have 29 days of detention served so far for Stephen Donziger, marking the first ever corporate prosecution here in the U.S. Our three pieces of good news: we have 143 days since whistleblower Reality Winner was moved into house arrest and is expected to be put on parole November 23rd. We have 597 days of freedom for Chelsea Manning, and we have 247 days of freedom for Jeremy Hammond.
That's
How
a lot
are
of
you
numbers.
today, Misty?
I'm tired. You guys, this week has worn me out. I always get tired when there's court shit. I get stressed out. I can't sleep. I stay up too late thinking about shit, and I'm tired. So I'm a little out of it. And I don't really want to talk about what we have to talk about today because we're going to have to dive into the mental health stuff again, which is never my favorite thing to do. And this shit sucks. I'm so tired of, there's going to be rants. I'll tell you that. We're going to rant tonight because I'm pissed off at the world. We shouldn't even be here, as Kevin Gostola would say. We shouldn't even be here. It's absurd that that the UK courts are even entertaining assurances from the United States. Fuck your assurances. Are you joking? These are the people who were just revealed to have been plotting to murder Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. So I don't want to hear a damn word about your assurances. I don't want to have conversations about where he's going to be imprisoned or how he's going to be treated when he's in prison. He shouldn't be in prison, period. End of story. He didn't do anything wrong. He should be released today. I'm tired. So that was my long-winded answer to how are you doing today?
You've been killing it though. You've been on so many shows in the last.
I'm trying. It's all I can do.
36
You know what I
hours,
mean?
yeah.
That's all I can do is just go on shows and talk about it and try to expose people to it. And that's all I can do. I don't know what else to do. So there we go.
It's amazing. Your guys' dedication is unbelievable.
Or maybe a little psychotic. I don't know. You be the judge.
Or as Edward Snowden put it, we are unindicted co-conspirators.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something so
I am
so
in the
I guess for our
dragnet
first
though.
topic,
I am
while
in the
we wait for
dragnet.
Kathy, something a little bit lighter. The WikiLeaks dragnet.
I'm in it multiple times.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, I'll find the information and pull it up. Susie Dawson and the team over at Talk Liberation and Panquake. I don't exactly know where it came from, but they put together what they call the Dragnet, which is essentially what is being used to target Assange supporters and Assange accounts that were identified. Let me.
And I'm in it multiple times, you guys. I'm so sorry.
It's essentially a police state. Like they watch everything we do.
Yeah.
I'm not in the same predicament as you guys, as I'm out of that country.
Everybody wave to the nice NSA agent that's probably monitoring the stream. Hi.
Can you fix my credit score, please, sir?
Hope you're having a good day. Please don't come arrest me. I'm just some loudmouth biatch from Ohio. That's it. I have no power. Oh, God. Yeah, it's a little weird to know that I figured I'm on some lists, you know what I mean? But to see it in black and white, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Yeah, you gotta figure with your account being as big as it is, they've took notice. So I try to keep my account small, and
I had no control over my account getting big.
Oh no, I totally understand.
It just happened. Like,
if people start liking you, they'll start following you. So
yeah, I just tweet and people showed up, which is weird. But yeah, there it is. It's weird to be on a list, though. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little strange.
I'm jealous. I'm always jealous.
Andrew's jealous of my trolls, which is the funniest thing ever. And I keep telling him he can have them because they're fucking annoying. If any of my trolls are watching, and I'm sure you are, because I know you love to hate follow me, go bother Andrew, please. Just go bother Andrew for a little bit. Give me a break. Stop obsessing over my every tweet and bother somebody else for a while. Get a life. Buy a plant.
I just figured I might as well get added to more lists. I know I'm on lists from stuff in real life, so
yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm on multiple lists, but I've never seen it in black and white, so that's a little jarring. You know, is what it is.
That's especially when you know it's connected to the government.
It won't actually let me put it in YouTube, but I put the Talk Liberation link in all the other chats.
If you go to Susie Dawson's Twitter page, you can find it there. I'm sure Taylor Hudak has tweeted about it. Multiple people have been tweeting about it. Kathy's here. Yay!
Hey.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh God, I've got
tired.
Oh Jesus, we went for about 3 days with hardly any sleep. You know,
I know.
Joe and I doing a lot of this, but I'm sorry about all the strong backlight. My curtains fell down because of the very high winds here. So the face is not.
No. You're fine. You look great. You're fine. Hi, Kendra.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
We're all very tired.
Yeah.
Hopeful. We're hopeful.
Yes, hopeful but exhausted. And a little pissed off. I'm pissed off too, because I'm tired of hearing some dumb shit about assurances.
Well, it's like when a 3-year-old tells you they're not going to take the candy. It's like, yeah, you're not going to take the candy when I'm watching you, but as soon as I turn around, that candy is gone.
I just don't know why we're entertaining assurances from the country that was just plotting to murder him. Your assurances mean precisely dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we entertain them when in the same paragraph they say we assure all of this.
Yeah.
Well, shows you how much. It shows you how much little regard they have for the public opinion. They're doing it blatantly, and they're just like, "You're not going to stop us."
Yeah, because there's not enough public pressure.
We're not going to stop them.
We need mass public pressure. That's what we've been saying for years. That's the only thing that's going to stop it. There's no better angels to appeal to here.
No. And we're still propagandized as a society currently that it's very hard to get through to some people.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Because they can be regular people in every other aspect, but if you hit that one point where they're so propagandized, it's like just talking to a wall.
Yeah, I was just talking to Liv Romano. I was just on her show. I was actually her first guest, which I love that. I've been a couple people's first guests, and it's like one of my favorite things ever. I love that. But I was just talking to her about that there's most people for whatever they don't even know why they don't like Assange, but they can't even actually verbalize why. It's just like they've been hit with so many different pieces of propaganda about Julian Assange over the past decade that they've internalized it, and then they just give you like some vague answer, but like he's an asshole, or he's weird, or and you're like, what? You don't even know like why you don't like him. So you're right. There's a lot of that's what we're up against is, we're combating the complete like information and media blackout that we can't even get. I mean, there was just 2 days of hearings on the most important court case on press freedom of our time, maybe in history, and no mainstream media touched it really.
Which you would think would be the people that would want to look into that.
Yeah, for a couple different reasons.
How much you're getting paid by that.
For a couple different reasons. One, this directly impacts the future of their profession. And 2, this is a story. Again, historic court case on press freedom. Like, this is a massive deal. It by any standards of journalism, that's something that you should be talking about and covering. And yet they don't. They do not cover it.
I think this is going to go down.
Audio.
Yeah.
I think this is going to go down in history as one of those moments where we're going to see where society is going to go.
Yeah, I've been saying that for ages. We're at like a crossing point. We're in like, we're going to go one of 2 ways here. And it's not looking good for the home team right now. We got to shift things back in the other direction.
Nero's got the fiddle. It's going to be interesting to see if he starts playing.
Yeah.
I have to say, I still have to really honestly catch up in detail on a lot of it. I've kept up with the live tweeting and some of this, but like, I was shocked to see the picture of Assange. I really was. Can
we show that, Andrew, so that people can see? Can I? Yeah. I can pull it up, I guess.
Yeah, I should be able to find it. I think I have it.
I have it somewhere. But it's a grainy picture, but even despite the fact that it's a grainy picture, you can tell that he is not well. Here, I have it, Andrew. Share screen. Me. Okay.
Yeah, the mental health toll.
I mean, look at him.
Through him
look at how thin his arms are. Look at how thin he is. Look at how, like, you can see, like, how bony his shoulders are. He does not look well. Yes. And Stella said the other day she went to visit before the march that they had in London, and she said that he looks terrible. He's very thin. He's very pale. Richard Medhurst, I think, said that he was obviously, like, physically wincing and coughing. He's sick. He's not feeling well at all. And they wouldn't even let him participate in person. He had, like, they brought him in
That's not true. So first of all, there were 74 journalists in the video link this time, including Michael Isikoff. I saw Julian in video. So that was particularly awful. But the thing is, on day one, Edward Fitzgerald announced that Julian didn't want to come and that he had been given a high dose of medication. And then about an hour or so into it, Julian arrived. And the next day, we got an explanation. He didn't come the second day. We got an explanation that the prison misunderstood and they made him come the first day. They told him he had to be there when he didn't. Now, what's particularly gross, and it's not going to please you, is they kept the camera on him for about 10 minutes at one point, and that's when they were discussing quite intensely whether he was going to suicide or not.
Yeah.
The prosecution was saying he was a malingerer and he wouldn't do it. And the defense were trying to prove that he would. Now, here's the world's greatest truth teller who's got these people saying he's a liar, he's cheated Kopelman, he's deceived him. And how can he prove that he's telling the truth? Well, he does it, right? But they we got to watch. And I tweeted that my job was to type out what they were saying and tweet it out. But, I just kept looking at him and thinking, oh, fuck, this is like a really bad dream. You want to wake up from, you might say, oh, I had this weird dream where I was in court and they were arguing about whether I was going to suicide or not. But this really happened to Julian, and they also kept the camera on him the whole time. for that very, very intense part of the discussion. But it was Julian didn't want to come, and Belmarsh made him come the first day, and then the court explained, well, I think the lawyers or the court explained to Belmarsh prison that they didn't have to force him.
Yeah, I saw Richard Medhurst tweet about that. I'm going to share my tweet about it because it was, I said the absurdity of this, and Richard said, an eerie image. Assange is seen via video sitting in a blue room in Belmarsh prison, looking pale and sick as the prosecution can be heard in the background, arguing to the court about his mental state, painting him as a malingerer. He is then escorted out of the room by a guard. And that's just the absurdity of that process.
That's not quite true either. And there was a very subtle cue as to what was really happening. So at one point, Julian his brow was furrowed. He looked very, very tired. He had that position most of the time. He kept closing his eyes. And then he looked up at the camera and became aware of the camera. And then he walked off himself to the side. Now, there was a window in the door that you could see, and there was a guard that came to the window to check out what he was doing because he disappeared. Remember, this is a room in Belmarsh prison, he's in the video link as well. Julian wanted to attend in person originally, and they wouldn't let him. But Julian went to the other end of the room, so he wasn't on camera. But we could see the reflection of Julian, and he sat at the other end of the room. And then sometime later he was escorted out, but we didn't see him again to see if he'd come back. But he did stay in there for a long time.
Well, and just even still though, that he's getting, that whatever state that he's in, that he is getting drugged in that way, and then they do that right before. I'm still slightly uncertain as to whether that's like, a normal thing, or was that a mistake on their part even, or how that was, because this is somebody too. I mean, obviously I don't know Assange personally, but from running the group and just from everybody else, his character is apparent, and he's just not the type of character to not be involved, or want to be at his own hearing from what I can tell. So whatever's happened there,
it's just absolutely gross. This whole discussion about which centers around his likelihood to suicide. It's something that nobody would want to listen to. And it was a mistake, apparently, or Belmarsh prison weren't informed, and they made him come. But he frankly didn't want to listen to that argument.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that's like. It has to be incredibly surreal to be sitting there listening to these people discuss whether or not you're legitimately suicidal, and whether or not you're faking your depression and your mental health issues. That's got to be really just a bizarre experience, and to not be able to like actively speak up and defend yourself and speak for yourself. And there's all these like strangers deciding what your condition is.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Well,
it's going to be a giant screen, so I could see a lot of detail in the image there. Perhaps people looking on a laptop or a phone, but I have this giant screen. That's why you see me looking up a lot of the time. So there was just this tiny reflection of Julian on the window of the door, and we could see him sitting there, and he looked dejected like that. He looked mainly dejected the whole time and worn out and just fucking over it. That's how he
the mental strength that man has is unbelievable. I've dealt with enough mental health problems myself, but like to be under those constant conditions and to still be able to keep himself going to an extent, as sick as he is, he's still pushing through.
Yeah. But can I give you some hope? You said it's not looking good for the home team. So I think that the US case is real weaknesses. There are two. I'll deal with Kronberg first. So Gordon Kronberg is the assistant attorney whose affidavit, and that will it looks like that's going to be released now with the minor redaction. Minor redaction, because the press really saying like, this is being referred to all the time. Why can't we see it? Some people got a copy of it and were able to read it, for example, and it wasn't sent to the witnesses back in September. Daniel Ellsberg got it the night before, and Daniel, he's over 80. He stayed up all night and read Kronberg before he came into court. But the idea of sending it so late was that they could just cite from it. Now, Gordon Kronberg refused to come into court for cross-examination, but the defense brought in 4 expert witnesses that refuted what he said. They brought in Yancey Ellis, Joel Sickler, Maureen Baird, and Thomas Durkin, all refuting what Kronberg said. So, in the balance of evidence, Kronberg was not looking strong. And he's, they never got to, it's just ridiculous that a key witness cannot be cross-examined. It was expected that Kronberg's word would be taken as gospel. So, in a way, this obsession with secrecy, which is what started the whole problem in the first place, could be their downfall. Now, number 2, and this is where Kronberg is going to come back in a way. So number 2, obviously, is the CIA kidnap or kill plot. Now,
actually, one of the things one of the few bright spots from this whole thing was the judge that ruled in favor of Lori Love's case, or was on the bench that ruled in favor of Lori Love's case, spoke up and said to Fitzgerald, like, no, we accept basically everything about what the CIA was doing. Like, there's no doubt in the court's mind that the CIA
yes, he said wasn't contested. Well, that's right. That was Lord Chief Justice Ian Burnett, Baron of Maldon, and that's correct. He's the Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales. He's a rather nice chap. I was looking at him. We couldn't see Holroyd very well because in the cloak there were 2 views, and one they were like a mile away, the judges, and we had the back of the prosecutor. The other one, Holroyd is behind a lamp and you can't see his face. But I saw Burnett's face when all of the CIA evidence was coming out, which I thought this would happen, was linked to the UC Global evidence, which was already delivered in court right at the end of the September hearings. His face, I said he looked taken aback by some of the details. It seemed to me his jaw dropped because they weren't fully aware of this, and they were, he was a little bit like that. Now, Alexander Mercouris, our legal analyst, he thought that it was a possibility that this could be dismissed as newspaper gossip by the court on the day. It wasn't, right? But you know what gives me hope is the last 30 minutes when James Lewis QC came back. So what did he refer to? What did he say in his summing up? He went back to the somewhat discredited Kronberg, the assurances, what Kronberg said about how lovely the US prisons are. They'd already demonstrated that ADSEG, protective custody, and SAMS, well, were much of a muchness, really. There wasn't all that much difference. It still involved, whatever happened, it still involved a long, long period, years. And Burnett was very surprised about that in pre-trial detention. Now, what did James Lewis say in reply to all of the CIA evidence that they didn't produce papers or anything? Yeah, they did. It was the article. What did he say in reply to that? To defend or refute that? Nothing. Not a word. He didn't mention it at all. And so his summing up in the end was left particularly weak. He said nothing that hadn't already been asserted. John Shipton, Julian's father, said that the US assurances weren't worth 2 bob. And we already have, Gareth Peirce pointed that out 10 years ago to our Prime Minister in Australia. I say our, mate, because I work for Consortium, but I live in Sydney. So Julian is one of my countrymen, and I know his family. So, but that was pointed out that the assurances couldn't be trusted, and in fact, some time ago, I think it was '96, there was a recommendation that the US assurances shouldn't be trusted anymore. I mean, there's been the most grotesque violations, and they were trying to say, the case of Abu Hamza. Do we know about him?
Yeah.
So this was a prisoner that was extradited by the UK. He was severely handicapped. He had no hands. He'd lost both hands, and the assurance, what the UK requested for humanitarian reasons was that he would not be put in ADX in solitary, and he was. And, there was litigations. There's Lindsay Lewis's testimony from last September. She's a brilliant lawyer. That was her case. Hamza was her case. So there was an allegation that the US had breached the assurances. Now, what they came back with, they said, we only said it was highly unlikely he would not go into one of these facilities, into solitary confinement, SAMs, special administrative measures. We didn't say it would never happen. And James Lewis actually said that as a defense, as a justification. And then, of course,
brain.
It was repeated by Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was on fire the first day, the last 30 minutes when he got up and had his say.
Yeah.
I've never seen or heard Fitzgerald, because he's quite a deferential fellow, clever, and really, really polite in cross-examination, but that fools them because at the end he'll say something like, well, then in that case, you can't be of any help to us at all, that kind of thing. But he was really on fire. He was a little bit lackluster, I think, tired probably on the second day, but when Marx, he made some very, very good points. It was just his energy wasn't as up there, but I don't think he's ever matched that energy because he was so angry. But when Mark Summers came and brought out all of the CIA evidence that he was on fire as well, and he did an absolutely terrific job. And then Lewis couldn't come back to say, you know what he said about this in September? He said that when the UC Global evidence came out, and it was the CIA and all that, he said it was palpable nonsense.
Oh.
So the palpable nonsense evaporated, and he just had nothing to come back with. So
I can't even believe that that it would even be entertained. Seriously, that the UK courts would even be entertaining assurances from the United States is unfathomable. It makes no sense whatsoever. The US can't be trusted.
No, you just assume when the US says something, they're lying.
They're lying.
And generally when they blame another country for something, it means they're doing that somewheres.
100%. And then add to that the CIA was just exposed to be plotting to kill him. Your assurances don't mean anything. You were just planning to kill him. Come on.
That's right. But it's a tradition where countries always, John Shipton said they have to accept the assurances, but there have been many occasions now. James Lewis tried to say that the US had never breached their assurances. They, with excuses like that, we only said it was highly unlikely. And Mark Summers said, you have to be very, very careful about the wording of this. He cited a Spanish case as well, where the extradition was done on condition that the prisoner would be sent straight back to Spain to serve his sentence. And they didn't do it. They refused. The US refused. And they said, oh, well, that was only a prosecutorial decision, that the prosecution didn't object. The Department of Justice objects, right? We're not going to send him back at all.
Well, that's like what you just said, though. Like the assurances, it leaves them a back door where later on down the road, they can change their mind and they can be like, just kidding, we're going to put him in ADX, or just kidding, we're going to put him under special administrative measures. It's not like a hard and fast, he will never be put into.
Well, the caveat is already there, right? With Julian, if he does something, and Lewis gave an example, only an example. to threaten U.S. national security, then they would reserve the right to place him under SAMS. But John Kiriakou pointed out that you can, and others too, that just a dirty look given to a guard can get you put in SAMS. So, I mean, that is not...
I mean, a fart
gonna
anywhere
give
in
an assurance at all.
Washington is a violation of national security at this
Especially when you're Julian Assange. They literally anything he did, they would be able to say that that was a threat to national security, and they would easily be able to go back on their word and put him into horrendous conditions. And we all know that that's what they will do. They will do.
Oh, he'll be dead within a week if the States gets his hand on him.
Yeah, he'll be.
We lost him at sea. This isn't Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Can't you keep losing people at sea?
I'm far more concerned about him being Epstein than I am about him actually committing suicide himself.
Oh,
yeah. I'm concerned about that too, but come on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. All the guards went home for the night. We turned the lights out.
Whoops,
no cameras on.
The cameras don't work. Oh my gosh, how did that happen?
Yeah. Power outage. You know how it is.
Funny how that works.
Well, this is terribly embarrassing for the UK, because this is the first time that the US has sought the help of a British court to obtain jurisdiction to, to get Julian this heard and the extradition hearing heard. So Julian is not a British citizen. It was complicated. So it's the first time that this has happened, and it's gone terribly wrong because the CIA went rogue. And so I feel that the High Court judges, I mean, it is, talk about it being political. Yeah. I would say that the British would be saying, well, we really just want to make this go away. And the Biden as well would want this to go away. This is Trump's indictment as far as he's concerned, although, that's what a lot of people are saying. But it started, we had a sealed, we had a subpoena, grand jury subpoena. If you recall, I talked about it in that time I wrote about the crumbling computer conspiracy case. That was back in 2011. And Andrew Fowler revealed it in a video called Four Corners program called Sex, Lies, and Julian Assange. And there was the subpoena, grand jury subpoena for conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. That was there. And then following from that, espionage charges. These charges are, in the making for 10 years at least. 10 years.
They just make up laws at this point for shits and giggles. But as much as this sucks and we hate seeing this, I'm glad it's happening now where people can see what's happening, because it's very hard to argue against that this is completely corrupt. Because all Julian Assange did was be like, hey, they're murdering people.
Yeah.
It's not that he killed anyone. He just pointed out that they're murdering people.
That's like Misty's. I love those tweets that you do, Misty, that have the wrong person's.
I'll pull it up.
It's so true.
I updated that thread just today because I used the picture of Julian that we got from court that somebody leaked out. And you guys should go and share these tweets because this is what this is about, really. I mean, we are punishing the wrong person 100%. So the wrong person is in prison. And there's George W. Bush, and there's Tony Blair, and there's Dick Cheney, and there's Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Bibi Netanyahu, Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice, right? No, Condoleezza Rice. Sorry. I always get Susan Rice and Condoleezza Rice. I always flip their names. Nancy Pelosi. Look at that. It's Mike Pompeo, a gigantic blob of satanic jello. And then the death walrus, John Bolton. And there's more. We could add more to the thread. I could add more to the thread, but that's what it's about. We're punishing the wrong person. The guy that exposed the war crimes. I think we could put
John Howard there as well.
Okay, I can add that. No problem.
Of Australia during 9/11. So... And he was actually in Washington when 9/11 happened, and he pledged that Australia would take part in the war on terror. And we sent troops to Iraq and Afghanistan, and they committed atrocities.
Yes.
But we're we're supposedly punishing war criminals. The Brereton report, it came out about a year ago. There was a whistleblower, two whistleblowers. And so people in Australia got to see an execution by the Australian forces on camera in their living rooms. It was, whoa!
I remember hearing about that. I watch Sky News every once in a while, so I catch a few Australian things. Australian 60 Minutes is the best 60 Minutes version.
Oh, it is.
And
it's got awesome stories.
It started in the 70s as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, America mostly takes everything and then ruins it. So
yeah. Yeah, that's what we do. We colonize everything.
CIA guy, I apologize.
Yeah. Smile and wave.
You know, Kathy, I really do think that I mean, I was, and I do get that way, which I think it's okay to get hopeful. You know, I was really hopeful that that something would happen and they would drop this from the Yahoo article. I was like, this is getting seeded in the media even. It's like, it's an easy out for the Biden administration. It's just really, I hope that I'm glad to hear that it's still hopeful, and how much of that was then used even in the hearing and then responded to. I do think that's hopeful. And
I'm glad that it got to be brought up in court.
And not responded to.
Yeah.
That's the most significant.
Yeah.
The prosecution had nothing to say. Ooh,
what can they say? What can they say? There's nothing to say.
Already said it was not disputed.
Yeah,
no, they're just basically being like, whoopsies.
Yes.
They're just going to try to ignore it. They're going to try to pretend like it doesn't exist. Like they didn't even address it because that's incredibly damaging to their case. So they'll just try to pretend like it doesn't exist.
You've got to think about what is the sort of the diplomatic solution. What's the tidiest way to end this? How
do they save face? That's the big thing, is we have to find an angle where we can convince them that they can get out of this and not look terrible, because they're not going to do it if they are going to look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's one way is to throw Pompeo under the bus.
Yes, I'm down for that. Let's do that. That guy
I was thinking that too. I'm like, I don't even care if they get the rap for it. They deserve it. You know what I mean?
Like, and he's about to run for president, I'm pretty sure. And I would much rather that did not happen, because he's an incredibly dangerous person.
Oh God, yes.
Yes. So I'm okay with throwing him under the bus. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Problem is they don't care about being thrown under the bus, because they know it's just what we're going to talk about, because they're still up in their $1 million homes and not worrying about it.
Well, if they make him a legitimate fall guy, there could be real repercussions. I don't know that they'll do that, but anything that keeps him out of the presidency would be fine by me, because I'm pretty sure he's at least contemplating it. I know he's been talking with donors. I know that for a fact. Like there's, articles and source stories that are out there that he's been mingling with donors and having those conversations. And he's an incredibly dangerous person.
He's such an unlikable person too.
Yeah. We call him he's a giant blob of satanic jello. That's what we call him.
That's offensive to Satanists and Jello.
I do like Jello. Jello's good.
I think a tidier way to do it would be, Julian should win.
Yes.
He should win the appeal. On the balance, being there and having to type what they're saying for 2 days, you don't get much time for reflection at the time, but at night you do. Mm-hmm. On the balance, I would really go for the defense if I would have put money on it. But if he does win, then Biden decides to drop it. That's the cleanest way.
Yeah.
There's not going to be too much fallout from that, and I don't think the British.
Wasn't there a quote from Lewis though, where he said, "Even if we lose, we can just bring more charges against him"? Like he.
Yes. Yeah. Have you got the legal pathways document, Andrew, so we can look at all the possibilities from here on? And yes,
because I would love to know what happens from here.
I can't see Biden. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Right. No. Well, there's a pathway where it goes back to the lower court.
Yes. Yeah. I'm curious because I know a little bit now about the legal system, but I would like to know more. Okay, here we go.
So break this down for us, Kathy. What are we looking at?
That's tiny on my screen.
Yeah. Okay, so Justice, so from the High Court hearing, which is on the left, so either if Julian wins, Justice orders discharge, or if the US wins, Justice sends the case to the Home Secretary. Now, if you'll see that if Julian's team win, then the US can appeal to, sorry, I'm pointing into the camera, the US can appeal to the High Court, or they can just do nothing and you go straight down to discharge. But if it goes to the Home Secretary might also discharge the case. I think once you get past that line there, everything starts getting really, really, really messy and embarrassing, both for the US and the UK, because there's just so much dirt. There will be discovery, and there is so much more dirt. As Mark Summers said, the UC Global evidence is just the tip of the iceberg. So the further it goes, the more embarrassing it's going to be. The cleanest way to end it would be just to say that, Gordon Kronberg didn't come in for cross-examination. We weren't able to, hear how his evidence could be tested in cross-examination. We heard 4 witnesses for the defense talking about US prison conditions. Yes, the beauty is that the CIA story, and this is where I have to, I do have to be grateful to Isakov, even though he brought in all of that Russiagate stuff, is that it came at the perfect time, because also it highlighted to the extent to the danger that the family was in, and the children in particular. So that also gave Kopelman the license to apply his profession's code of ethics. That he had duties to the court under Rule 19.4, but also to his code of ethics, where the primary responsibility is to ensure the safety of children. That is paramount. And that trumps, according to Alyssa Johnson, and I said, make sure this is, this is the UK we're talking about. That trumps all other concerns, including legal ones. But once the extent of the danger, that these fears were real, and he consulted, he sought legal advice from Gareth Peirce. And said, you better not at the moment. They're trying to find out if take the DNA to see if the baby is. I mean, it's like mafia. We'll kill you and your mother and your kids. Your whole family. It's that kind of revenge. So that gives a very solid explanation of what was just called an understandable human response. Now we know about the real danger. It all tied up, and it absolved Kopelman of that apparent, wrongdoing or whatever, failing in terms of his duty to the court. Claire Dobbin really, oh my God, the bitch. I didn't say that. She really pushed it, how he had deceived the court, and it was only temporarily, in fact. And then there was the pandemic and all that. Everything was postponed until September. It was supposed to happen, and I think it was in April it was supposed to happen. But they couldn't, everything was shut down. So it was delayed for a certain amount of time, and James Lewis complained that he didn't see it until 2 days before they went into court. So, it was a bit late in the game that they got it. But I think that the problem is that when there's so much collusion in this case, the persecution of Assange, you've got the CPS puppeteering the Swedish prosecution authority. I mean, it's starting to get really dodgy even to tell the court about the children. What you're actually doing is answering the CIA's question. Is this the child of Assange? You're telling them. And so I think that there was extreme fear and not paranoia,
Mm-mm.
real fear all around. And that explains why Koppelman, it was a more than adequate explanation. That's why I think that it was, very, very strong this appeal was very strong for the defense. And we do owe Zach Dorfman, who was the lead reporter on the Yahoo story, and then Michael Isikoff, who came in lead investigator as well. We do owe them that, even though I don't know why all that Russiagate stuff was in. Maybe to get it past the gate.
Yeah.
The
Oh. Yeah, they had to throw the Russiagate stuff in there, didn't they?
Yeah.
Always. It's always constant Russiagate.
Yeah,
just so everybody knows,
you can deal with that later. The stuff that was crucial to the
yeah.
trial.
Yes.
Right.
Just so everybody knows, I'm putting up numbers on the screen because I'm like a fancy tech genius now. And so I'm putting up numbers for the White House, the Department of Justice, and then the switchboard for just Congress in general. It's the same switchboard for either your senators or your House of Representatives. You just call the same number, and then they can figure out. Did we lose Kendra again?
Her camera keeps dropping out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, while you're watching, jot these numbers down or stick them in your phone, and make some phone calls. Doesn't take very long. Super easy. Most of the time you're just gonna get like an answering machine anyways. Do they still call them answering machines? Voicemail, whatever. So yeah, just leave a voicemail. Just politely say who you are, where you're from, why you're calling. You're concerned about the prosecution of Julian Assange and the future of press freedom, all that good stuff. Takes just a few minutes. So that's just something really quick and easy to do.
To Misty, we have on our at DNV Free JA, that was one of the actions we did recently. So if you go to our timeline, we have example phone scripts and things like that to use if you want to use. I mean, sometimes I think people get, you get nervous and you don't know what to say or whatever. So you can just start reading that if you do. And don't worry, you can just call again. And again.
And again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
There's also a lot of really cool ResistBot functions. I don't know if you guys know what ResistBot is. It's a web tool that you can basically send a DM and it'll send a fax or an email for you to your representatives, from state reps all the way to judicial representatives to the House of Representatives and Congress and things like that. Basically, anyone that it can find an email address for in its database, it'll send a literal fax. So you can fax the fuck out of their office, and that's the most annoying thing ever.
Fax the fuck.
Just one letter at a time.
Right.
I just dropped the Denver Twitter in the chat too for everybody. If you need the Denver, if you want to go get their scripts, you can go. I'm so tired today, you guys. My brain keeps freezing. I keep forgetting stuff. I'm so tired. I'm very sleepy. I'm very sleepy.
Coming back from a work trip, so I'm exhausted too. I'm actually gonna probably jump off here because I just had a couple minutes to come on and I wanted to see you guys. And also thank you for inviting me on. And I wanted to promote, we have a couple exciting things going on in Denver. So that's good. We connected with We Are Change here, and I wanted to tell you guys about that. So that was a really exciting thing for us. And then this Wednesday, and I always appreciate coming on and talking with you, Kathy, because it was so informative. And we're actually I'm giving a talk to the Libertarian Party about Assange, and that'll be for about an hour. And so I just think, to that point, things are growing a lot. I mean, even I saw Free Assange trending this whole time, even though they had the search function on Twitter. Yeah, bro. I mean, can you believe that? It's just they're so gross and pathetic. It's just I don't know, but anyway, so, but that's what we're doing in Denver. And thanks for having me on so I can tell you guys. And I have never met you. Hi, Orange Bandana.
Hi, Orange Bandana.
Hello, Casey.
Oh, that's some funny shit, y'all. I need to laugh. It's been a week. It's been a week. Woo.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I'm gonna switch up bandanas every time and confuse you. Crazy.
We'll just start calling you Rainbow Bandana then. How about that?
Thanks you guys, everybody, for all your.
Yeah, it was good to see you, Kendra. I love you so much, and I miss you.
I love
It's great meeting you. Cheers.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Later.
Bye. Oh, shoot, how do I hang up? Sorry.
I can probably kick you out because I'm a fancy tech goddess now.
Will you kick me out?
I will. Hold on. Okay. Look, I just did something else techie.
He's gone because we could have talked about Mega Brain bloopers.
Oh, can we? I haven't gotten to roast him yet. I've been like doing serious talking to people, and I haven't gotten to roast this turd.
Well, he said special administrative matters.
I told Andrew that he should have dressed up as Eric Snowden for Halloween.
He also said suicidal ideology, and that was repeated in an Australian newspaper.
Oh.
And Joe he made me laugh. He said that, well, if somebody started a movement that promoted suicide, you could call them a suicide ideologist or suicidologist. And
is that what Joe Sounds was?
Yeah, so I changed it. I corrected it. It was corrected in Consortium News with suicide. He said suicidal ideology instead of ideation, and I just put sick. I mean, I can't. It's Joe's piece actually, but he was so busy that I had to go in and Joe corrected it for him. I said, no, don't. That was incredible. There was more actually, but
you sent me a tweet.
I would make a nice T-shirt like suicidal ideology, and then
we should make a band. Hold on, I'm trying to find your. You sent me a DM on Twitter of all of his mess ups because that was funny. Special administrative matters. Oh, Nils Melzer, the raconteur on torture.
Great raconteur.
And then Dr. Dealey.
Instead of Dr. Daly.
Yeah. And then Eric Snowden, which Eric Snowden made me giggle all day. I was giggling all day about Eric Snowden.
That was just
stuff.
Day one.
Yeah, that was just day one.
Yeah, day two was suicidal ideology. I love that one.
Mega Brain. They call him Mega Brain. And
when you're a lawyer, you can just make up words and
I know, right? And that's what's so funny is every time there's court, the defense embarrasses the hell out of the prosecution. And it's good fun. I just wish it mattered. You know what I mean? Like, he got laughed at in the courtroom in September. It was straight up laughed at. Like the judge laughed at him like 3 times. The judge is laughing at you in the court, dude.
Well, that was when he tried to discredit the credentials of every expert witness for the
even
defense.
like the guy, was it Kopelman?
Yeah, he was going for the jugular with Kopelman. He said, "Are you a forensic psychiatrist?" And he's a neuropsychiatrist. He said, "Well, you're not. It's not appropriate." And then what made everybody burst out laughing was that he said, "Well, I have been called so many times to the court, including by the prosecution, by the Crown." Including James Lewis QC. So Lewis himself had called Kopelman as an expert witness, and it just collapsed on him. But he tried. It was awful what he did to Kopelman. He tried to pretend that the razor blade incident had never happened, and that was, this is where Craig Murray, back in September 20th, if memory serves, he wrote about 2 instances of misleading the prosecution, either James Lewis or the QC or the expert witnesses, Nigel Blackwood, misleading the court, and that was because that they buried prison reports, right? So. Do you know that he cross-examined Kopelman for 4 hours? It was hell on earth. And he was really like leading him into, the witness. He was trying to persuade him that, there was no report about this razor blade. Like, if it never happened, would you change your diagnosis? And then the next morning, the defense arrived with the report. 2 prison guards had actually made the report about finding the razor blade in Julian's cell, and a piece of rope as well was found. But there's the report itself. And Dr. Daly, who was responsible for handing the prison reports over, Julian didn't trust Dr. Daly, didn't like Dr. Daly, didn't want to talk about his mental health with Dr. Daly. And so that was one instance. And then the other one was the real reason that he was taken to the medical wing, and that there was a meeting that day. And they had the minutes of the meeting, and that was buried as well, about, him having uncontrollable suicidal impulses. And they said, Dr. Nigel Blackwood for the prosecution said that the reason that he was taken to the medical wing, and it's quite appalling really, was because of that video prison footage that came out, and the prison were embarrassed by it and angry about it, and so they put him in isolation presumably as a punishment. But they buried the report or the minutes that said that he had been on that very day. I think the meeting was at 2:30 that very day. Before he went to the medical wing, they were having a meeting about what to do with him, because he was talking about killing himself. And that's appalling.
Like
there were more.
The medical segregation, like according to the court, like the prosecution tried to say that he got moved into medical segregation because those videos got released. And while he was in that medical segregation unit, he got worse. Yeah, he had a court trial where he literally couldn't remember his name or date of birth. Or he didn't know who he was, why he was there, even when he started existing in the world.
Julian said that he was, quote, like a hallucinating puppet on the floor.
My God.
Yeah, and
that's just insane. The amount of mental anguish he's going through.
CIA is that happened in 2017, 2018. He got taken out in 2019. So they're effectively at the most 3 years behind in the mainstream media. So even with the story about the CIA, that doesn't even cover what's happened to him since he's been taken into British custody, and the absolute like Black Mirror horror story that has happened to him.
I think that's why they don't want to release him, is because they know as soon as they do, everything they've been doing is coming out.
Yeah.
Like, because there's probably a lot of stuff we don't know about yet.
Oh, for sure.
That when he gets out, we're going to start hearing stories, and they're going to have a hard time trying to contain those stories.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to recover for some time. He may not.
Of course.
I don't know that you recover from this. I mean, really, fully. I don't know that you recover. I mean,
look at Laurie Love. I mean, he still hasn't recovered. It's awful.
It depends. It depends how well you can compartmentalize things.
Yeah.
Right? So,
but even if you compartmentalize, you're still just pushing something down. You're not really
like some things and that can come back and have a good spirit about it in the end. But like you said, it does take time. He's not going to come out one day and then 10 minutes later start talking to the press, telling everyone what happened. That's just not realistic.
No. And I think I'm worried about that, because I think a lot of supporters are expecting, if he does get out, that he's going to like get out and be like Julian Assange from WikiLeaks again. And I just don't think that that's a realistic expectation to have at all.
No, it's too hard.
No.
For someone to go through that.
Yeah.
It's like those people that came out of the POW camps, right? You see now when they eventually got out, how shaken up they were. It's no different for him right now.
He is very resilient, though. And,
that's true.
I remember
incredibly so.
On the 4th of January, it was just terrible hearing Baraitser read out her ruling.
And I was ready to fight people, Kathy. I was ready to fight people. Ask Andrew.
I thought, oh God, like I'm sort of, typing it out. And And then she says he's not going to be
I
extradited.
know.
I was like, what?
I had to check everybody's feeds. that
Dude,
were
okay,
live
so there's
tweeting
a
because
video
I
of
didn't
us.
believe that actually happened.
We were all in DC. So it was me, Kendra, Steve, and Andrew on a couch in DC. And Steve is like reading out the live tweets from the different journalists who are live tweeting the proceedings. And so he's reading out all this terrible news, like all, like all the terrible stuff Vanessa Baraitser was saying, all these like horrible, she's agreeing with the prosecution. And then like he said something like that was kind of positive. And you can see like my head snap up and you can see Kendra looks really confused. And then the next thing he says is he's not going to be extradited. And we all sit there for like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something, completely befuddled. And then like I start crying and then Kendra starts crying and then we all start hugging. And Andrew's sitting on the like edge of the, like Steve literally hands him his drink and Andrew like takes his drink and he's still looking at the computer. We're all like in a cuddle puddle on the couch and Andrew's like off in his own world, like has no idea what's going on.
I have the video pulled up if you want me to share it.
Yes, do it because it makes me happy and I need that right now.
Let me tell you first. The reason I wanted to tell you about this was that Julian stood up, was over. Julian stood up and he looked around almost towards the camera, but just off to our left. And a big smile. Apparently he was looking at Stella because we were in the gallery. He looked up and a big smile came on.
I wish we had a photo of that. I wish we had a video or photo of that.
I've got it glued in my memory, that smile, because that gave me hope that the man can recover.
Yeah,
it does give me hope. And he's got a very strong family support from his immediate family, from his parents. I think that's what's really important in the recovery process after something like that.
And his kids, I think his kids will be hugely healing. Being able to be around his kids, I think will be, yeah. Do you have it up, Andrew?
Any kind of being home with comfort and stuff will help start to heal.
Yeah, for sure. I need this video in my life right now. I need some fun and hope.
It's like the whole thing's like 9 minutes. Do you want me to run through the whole thing?
No, just get like to the end, like to where like the.
Look at your faces. Look at Kendra.
Honestly, Kathy, I didn't speak. We started as soon as court started. Like we got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was pissed.
That's Steve.
Yeah.
Julian's attorney told Baraitser they would like to make an application for bail on Wednesday. Baraitser grants Assange's legal team the request for time to prepare a bail application, schedules the hearing for Wednesday.
I'm retarded.
So
hold on. Give me a second.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I was sitting on the end when the ruling was read.
I definitely want to say this.
I did not speak like for the entire morning. Like me and Steve got up to like take a break because we were like up at 4 a.m. We were doing like hours, and we got up to like go to the bathroom or something. And he was like, you can talk, and I'm like, no, I can't because I'm really angry and I'm just going to go off. Like I wanted to fight people. I was that angry. It was not a good morning until the no extradition thing, which was shocking because everything about her ruling was terrible until that.
Well, suddenly the tone of when she got on to the end, her tone changed a bit. And I'm going, what's happening here? What's happening here? What's happening? Oh!
Yeah. And I also love it because I don't know if you're familiar with Allie Mason from London. She's an activist who's constantly on the ground. So we had her on. She was on the ground, and we had her like we were talking to her, and so we got to tell her that he wasn't going to be extradited, and her face, like the way that she like it came, like she realized what was happening, and it's magical. It's magical. That was one of the weirdest but most fun days. It was great. Yeah. It was so much fun. I hope Andrew finds it. I really hope he finds it because it was one of the weirdest days.
I got it.
You do?
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, I really do need this video in my life right now. I'm not joking. I need it.
So it's like the first like minute and a half leading into it.
Cool.
Okay, here we go. There's Allie.
Shit, that's the kind of shit people have been saying, yeah? and they're going to say, so this will actually.
Because I would normally be waking up right now. Hold up. Let's go. Let's back up. 16 minutes. Judge did not find Assange would face grave problems in light of passage of time since alleged offenses. Greater constitutional and procedural protections will be applied to assure it's a fair trial. Greater essentially argues the U.S. court is equipped to determine whether the Espionage Act allows for prosecution against Assange, a publisher, for the offenses alleged. She mentions challenges against overbreadth can be made during pretrial. Berater does not believe U.S. court would be able or would try to deny Assange rights under the Constitution, really, as he will be put on trial on U.S. soil. Berater goes on to add, trust that the U.S. court will properly consider Assange's right to freedom of speech. No, we know that is not correct. Judge accepted doctor's opinions that Assange suffers from recurrent depressive disorder and suffers from autism, though he is highly functioning. Great. There's your favorite fucking phrase, Misty. Berater says Assange is at high risk of suicide and that there is a real risk he will be detained subject to special administrative measures in U.S. prison, especially because intelligence community is hostile to him. Berater says extradition would be oppressive by reason of Assange's mental health. The United States government's mass incarceration system just lost their case against WikiLeaks founder
Look at Allie.
Julian Assange.
So wait, does that mean he's not going to be?
Look how confused we are. We're so confused.
No.
Is he
Look at her. Look at Allie.
No extradition as of this moment.
No extradition.
Is that right?
That's right.
Dude, did the weasel get in the hadron again?
Is that right?
Did it shift us back to the non-dumbest
Is that
timeline?
correct?
I mean, Kevin
Look how
Costello's got
confused I
a
am. I'm like, what?
So
And they're saying no.
Kevin
And
Costello
they're saying no. Kevin Costello said no.
in saying she satisfied procedures described by the U.S. would not prevent Assange from finding a way to commit suicide in U.S. Supermax prison. The judge and defense are discussing an application for bail. U.S. government is going to immediately appeal.
U.S.
No
government will immediately appeal.
extradition as of this moment.
There's only one motherfucking decision.
We're gonna tear it down. No extradition. Oh my god.
We're so confused still.
It gives me chills to watch that video.
It does.
I'm honestly like I'm about to cry.
Kevin even said, "Holy shit!"
Oh fuck! No extradition! You heard it here
We're
first.
finally getting it. We're finally getting it. Here comes the puddle puddle. And I even say right here, I didn't want to cry on camera. Because we all start sobbing.
Sorry, I'm screaming.
No, scream away, Alice. You've earned the scream.
And now we're crying.
Disgusting veil. Oh my god. Right. Oh
Look at Andrew. He has no idea.
Hey, try to get some secondary on that.
Sleepy Josh is like trying to produce a show. Oh, it makes me tear up.
Hey, do we have any other confirmations of that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm like,
I'm gonna go. Right, go
Do
round.
you want me to keep
Freedom
it going,
sign.
or you want me to turn it off now?
That's it. Can I just tell you that Mark Summers said, whatever, you know, if Julian wins and is dismissed, whatever the outcome of this High Court appeal, they will launch a cross appeal because it's just too serious. The points that were political points that were lost on press freedom. So there will be then that's going to be an exciting period of trying to fight back. And if Julian is free at that time, I really, really do think we shouldn't expect too much. Julian is going to have to be protected.
Yes,
I do think that even coming out into the street, he's going to have to be decoy cars and everything. Well, actually, probably the CIA, they're being severely embarrassed, but he's going to be in danger. He's going to be in danger.
Oh yeah, people keep saying that. Like, if he gets out, he's gonna live the rest of his life. And yes, but he won't be in prison. I mean, he's in danger now. Like, they could kill him now in prison. They've done it before. So I'd much rather him be out and be able to spend time with his family and be able to, get to know his kids and to be able to spend time with Stella and his brother and his dad and his mom. And I mean, yes, he's always going to be in danger. Absolutely.
But at
100%.
least he can do stuff when he's out of jail.
Yes.
Like,
he can live.
Food and like just activities.
Go to the doctor.
Right? Yeah.
Get proper medical care. Not
if you're in the States,
torture. Well, he doesn't live in the States, and he will never come to the States. He's not an idiot.
Do not come there.
He will not.
Well, there may
Do not come.
leave the United Kingdom. He may have to stay in the UK because, and I think his lawyers have talked about this before too. If he, let's say, wins in the UK court against US extradition, but then travels to France or to some other country that has other extradition treaties in place with the US, they can just scoop him up in that court system again under the same
No, he can come to Australia. There's no dual. I found this out. Mark Summers said, service sentence in Australia. Well, that remains to be seen because there's no dual criminality. What Julian did, and it's not a crime in Australia, although the laws have been changing across, these 3 Five Eyes countries, whose law is all stemming from the British law in the first place, the earliest version of the Official Secrets Act, and that's the end of the 19th century. You look at the wording of that, and then it turned into Official Secrets Act, then the Espionage Act, and then 1917, and then 1914's Crimes Act in Australia, which was updated recently, 2019, December 2018 maybe, and it's called now the Espionage and Foreign Interference Act. But at the time, I mean, that's the issue with this whole planned assurance. There's another aspect of the U.S. assurance that we will allow him to apply to be for a transfer back to serve his time in Australia. But it's Mark Summers. It remains to be seen whether Australia would want to jail him for that, because there's the problem of dual criminality. Whereas with the Official Secrets Act in the UK, there is dual criminality, but there's not dual punishment. Laurie Love said he would rather be sentenced for murder in the UK than for hacking in the US, because murder was 20 years, but hacking was 99 years, apparently. It's just, this is disgusting. This is one thing that Gareth Peirce brought out in that letter to Kevin Rudd in 2011, that, these astronomical sentences or threats of, 175 years, 99 for Laurie Love, and they are used to get plea bargains. 95% of people never see their day in court because they agree to a guilty plea, because then they'll change it from 175 years to, well, in the case of Reality Winner, it was 63 months. Although there was another lie in court, I think, because on the first day, because they said that was the longest sentence that somebody actually got, even though the threat is always of so many years. Like, it's science fiction beyond a natural lifespan, because they add them all up rather than serving different counts concurrently. But that's not true, because Chelsea Manning got 35 years. Burnett did ask, well, were there the same charges? And wasn't Manning a serving soldier? But Mark Summers said, well, I've got to be very careful about how I answer that. But, the charge was espionage, and they both carried a life sentence, right? So I think that he could come to Australia. I think he could. We've been there's been a lot of pushback against the reason that we were rejoicing is because journalists have been increasingly verboten to talk about what's really going on in the world. Everything's getting classified, over-classified. 99.5% of what is currently classified in the US doesn't need to be classified anymore. Daniel Ellsberg told me that from a study done by Stephen Aftergood, or an article written by Aftergood in Secrecy News.
They abuse it to hide stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they can't. If the truth comes out, they know America's screwed.
Well, they know they're screwed.
Yeah, like their version of America is screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't have a world run on narrative. Enforced narrative that isn't true. False information, and the British have had this upstairs, downstairs attitude about who gets to know things and who doesn't.
Yeah, and we've been lied to since we were young. Like ever since we were kids.
The day you're born, you're lied to.
Almost everything in our lives has been built on like some kind of lie, and it's just ruined things for society.
So we'd like to do our job not in fear.
Yeah, exactly. You should be able to report news without getting fear of being in jail for 99 years, or in some cases, your lives being threatened.
Yeah.
Well, Australian journalists are outraged that we can't report on anything that's classified in America, or they'll come and get us.
Yeah,
I mean, they raided ABC, didn't they? They raided ABC. They took all their computers and everything. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and like people don't ever find out about it, so everyone's just like, and then when they do, it's like, oh no, it's one time. It's not one time. It's 150 times. You just heard about this one time.
Oh, the attacks on journalism have been increasing. I mean, really for decades. The powerful people do not want their secrets exposed. I mean, that's obvious. But over the past 10 or 15 years, it has been unbelievable. I mean, Obama went after more journalists and whistleblowers than all other presidents combined. I mean, we see it at protests. When journalists are at protests, covering protests, they're now being photographed and tracked. They're being beaten up. They're being detained. They're being, hit with rubber bullets, all of that stuff. It's legit. Like, this is real talk where they're ramping it up. It really quite a lot. They really want complete narrative control.
Yeah, because before the internet, it was a lot easier to control the narrative because you couldn't call someone and really verify something, like especially if it's across the world. Like if they told you something about China, you're like, okay, that must be what they're doing. But now that we can talk so quickly, that's what I like about Twitter too, is you can talk to people in different languages so quickly and efficiently that you can verify if there's lies coming out rather quickly.
Yeah, they hate it.
That's why the censorship is so intense and it's getting worse.
Yeah, because as soon as you go against the narrative, they'll shut you off or your account will disappear.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember that David Lynch album came out about 20 years ago called Blue Boy? And there's a song called "Thank You, Judge," and at one point the judge says, "Bend over, get used to it." I think that's what the state has to do.
Yeah.
Get used to the internet and people wanting to know the truth, and that being the responsibility of journalists to tell them the truth. And you can't keep persecuting these people for doing their job. And it is also illegal to classify things that where the reason is just to hide a crime or save embarrassment. That's Obama's law, Executive Order 13526, Section 1.7.
Yeah, if there's nothing to hide, why do you have to be so secretive all the time?
Well, that's what bothers me, is that we have things completely flipped right now. Like the people, like ordinary people, we should have all the privacy in the world, and people in positions of power should have none. And it's flipped. They have all the privacy in the world, and we have none. They know everything about us. They know what size shoe we wear, where we shop, what cereal we eat, all of that stuff. And we know nothing about the things that they're doing in our name with our money. And we need to figure out a way to flip that the way that it should be. And they should have complete transparency. Everything that they do should be examined and studied, and all of their meetings should be out in the open. Every donor that they have should be out in the open, all of that stuff. And it's not that way right now. And we need to figure out a way to get that turned back right.
And frankly, there'd be a lot more peace in the world if people were frank about what was going on, and we weren't always in some kind of competition to, basically to kill as many people as possible at this point.
There's no competition. The United States wins that every time.
Oh yeah. If people realize, like, if you look at the death toll from Nazi Germany, that pales in comparison to the damage the states and other imperialistic countries has done on this world. Like, and by far, it's not even close.
Yeah. The United States is the world's largest terrorist organization.
Oh, yeah. I always say if you slap a patch on the back of politicians, there'll be a gang.
They are a gang.
I was
it's
actually
like a mob.
thinking earlier when we were talking about like what the judges were saying in court. The only country in the world that this could be done in is the United Kingdom, because if it were happening like an Italian court, it would go from being like some fancy upscale fucking British thing to like an episode of The Sopranos where he's like, yeah, he may fucking kill himself. Like, what about it?
Maybe he's gonna disappear, maybe not.
Like any other accent of English, it would be unpalatable.
Well,
do you ever do an accent so bad you're just like, I should apologize to multiple countries for this one? Just like, I'm gonna start writing letter to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, the CIA is bullied into Italy and Germany.
Yeah.
Because both wanted CIA officers extradited for trial, and they were bullied. Had to kind of drop it.
Well, I don't know if you guys seen this, but after the election, when there was all the hoopla over the if it was hacked or this or that, there was actually an Italian secret agent that gave an affidavit to an Italian judge that basically said, yeah, we switched results for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a video of it.
In the case of Germany, it was particularly egregious, and that is, a CIA mistake. So that was the case of El Masri. And so that was just a guy on holidays, and he was kidnapped and renditioned and tortured for 5 months.
Well, it was Germany that was... It was Germany that was spying on everyone for the States, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know, but in the case of El Masri, it was the CIA who abducted this man.
Yeah.
And after 5 months, they realized they had the wrong guy. And
mistaken identity, and they took him to a black site and tortured him for a few months, and then we're like, oh, whoops, we got the wrong guy. We're going to drop him off in Albania.
Yeah, that's right. And he up a mountain road, and he thought he was going to be killed. And then when he came back to Germany, his wife and kids, they've gone back to, I believe it was Turkey. But, they had no support.
Yeah, I think it was
but nobody believed him. And then it was John Gertz, the German journalist, and he was an expert witness in September. And he told that story, and he did an investigation. and he found out their real names, right? The CIA officer, or he found out the names that they were using and traced it back. And so he found out that it was true. And then it went to the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah.
And he was vindicated. And they said, yes, this story is true. And so then Germany wanted 11 officers, CIA officers, extradited, and they never got it. You know,
No, the states won't do anything. They're just like, no, we're not doing it.
yeah.
And if you attack us, we're just gonna we're gonna talk about our nuclear bombs like it's a dick measuring contest.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it is really. I mean, that's it's a bunch of like juvenile psychopaths. You know, it's terrifying. But the Al-Masri case, that legitimately keeps me up at night. That I've had many sleepless nights after hearing that story, and I can tell you that one of the first times that I had like a little glimmer of hope just for Julian in his condition was when he spoke out when they were going to try to silence that and not allow that to be they weren't going to allow him to speak in court. And Julian was like, nope, I'm not going to let you silence a torture victim. Not going to do it. And I'm like, yeah, Julian. Yeah.
At that time, Baritza didn't reprimand him.
Yeah. No,
Because
she did
he-
before. And that's what I thought
Yeah.
was so cool about it, because he had already been warned. And she said, if you speak out again, I will remove you from this courtroom. And he was like, I don't give a fuck. And I loved that. I loved that, because how dare you try to silence this man? You know what I'm saying? After
Yeah,
everything
it was
he's been
wonderful.
through, the least you can do is give him space to tell his story.
It's like kind of like that saying, speaking truth to power kind of idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as they don't want to hear it, we need to keep telling people till more people realize that this isn't a one-off situation. This is a continual travesty of human rights, of murders. Kids are dying around the world. And if you speak out to it, all they want to do is shut you up so you can't, because it'll scare everyone else. Like, that's all they're doing with Assange too, is
Well, they want to be
They
able to
want
commit
people
their
to see
war
it.
crimes in peace.
yeah. Could you not bother me with my child murder? I've got things to do.
I have weddings to drone bomb. Like, just leave me
Yeah.
alone and let me, murder my funeral parties. It's fine.
If you
Why won't you guys
excuse
just
me
let
while
me
I
kill
drink
people?
the blood of children, I'll be back.
We got to bomb school buses and,
That's the scary part when you hear like all that QAnon stuff, and they're like, oh, they're drinking kids' blood, and I'm like, well, I'm like, I don't know if it doesn't make that much sense anymore, because everything they do is the scariest shit you'll ever hear.
yeah.
Well, the whole QAnon thing, if you look at the UC Global timeline, right around when the U.S., Ecuador, and everyone started like moving in on Julian, this was like late 2017. That's when you had QAnon and Trust the Plan show up on the internet. That's when the boards changed from being pro-human liberation to, have you read the latest Q post? And part of that entire thing was that Julian's prosecution was a good thing. That was supposed to happen because Donald Trump was protecting Julian Assange. That was like the whole big secret plan that they had going on behind the scenes, and that he was safe and being liberated when literally directly in front of us, he was being tortured, and everyone was literally just too almost, at the end, it almost feels like too ashamed to look at it. Like, because QAnon was such a big operation that sucked up so much of the internet that,
Yeah.
like, I fear that community's like, where do we go from here? Like, the people that
It
realize.
was such an obvious psyop, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's a lot of commonality, even between like far left and even into some areas of the far right, it's distrusting government is I think the commonality. And I think that's where a lot of times we might be able to cross over and kind of group together for that one big fight against the 1%.
Yeah, so in that like Foursquare bullshit political graph thing, my goal is to organize the the lower quarter,
The bottom,
that
yeah.
all want liberation from government and
Yeah.
institutional power. That's the hope.
Yeah, because my always thing is I one of those world peace weirdos. That's what I want to see. Like, and frankly, I'm dumb enough to believe in it. So
Well,
I'm gonna keep pushing it.
I'd like the money.
Oh, Alex is here.
Spent on healthcare. I'd like the money to go to education.
Right? How dare you? What do you want a pony? What, you want a pony, Kathy? Kathy wants a pony.
You monster!
What's wrong with you? Hi, Alex.
Hi,
Hello, Alex.
How are
Hi.
you? Just got back from town. Sorry about this. My phone's out of battery, so I'm crouching.
Your
over the
phone is
kitchen
always
bench.
out of battery, friend. Come
Well, I just
on
been
now.
doing protests all morning, you know.
Can you talk
We love
about
you.
the protest you went to today? Because
Yes,
I thought
please.
it was really, really exciting. I thought it was a really cool event.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm trying to judge the people. I guess it might have been about 1,000, maybe a bit more. It was very sunny, and there was lots of beautiful families and all manner of people, all different colours and races and sexes. It was wonderful. And Sue Gray, legendary lawyer who is fighting some of the mandates and some, free New Zealand, basically. She is a wonderful lawyer, but she's also medically trained, so she's an amazing person on this fight. I think the problem is we're using the bills that are unfortunately globalist. They can be changed. The laws can be changed as soon as she proves that New Zealanders aren't given proper informed consent. Then they just change the law that night without consultation. So we're in a real situation here. It's pretty frightening because most people don't see it. A lot of people still gushing over Jacinda without realizing what's in store. But yes, it was wonderful. So many people. We had a council of mothers. We did a song that's earlier on in my YouTube. We're all wearing white. I ended up putting the yellow jacket on in the end for Assange, and I put the yellow banner down at the very back somewhere just to sort of make a point, because free press really is all tied up in this, isn't it? And censorship, censoring half of a scientific debate is never wise, is it? So let's hope we get both sides aired. But yeah, Sue Gray was wonderful. She spoke for about, 7 minutes. The crowd, when she came on, which I didn't quite capture with the video because I was screaming away, but when she came on, no one knew she was going to be speaking. The crowd erupted and they just wouldn't shut up for the longest time, screaming, and everyone's just loved her. So also we've had an old TV personality called Liz Gunn speak out, and she gave a heartfelt message. She's 90s blonde kind of TV personality. She spoke out about it, and also the America's Cup salesman sailor, one of the top ones, spoke out. So we're getting now some bigger personalities starting to join all of this. So it's good. It's good. And of course, I'm reminding everyone about free press and, access for information is key on this one. So I guess that's the tie. A lot of times I believe that Julian was silenced for this. So that's my personal opinion. I have no evidence, but it's just that some of the things he was saying just before he got cut off 2018, I think they're very telling phrases and answers to questions in his last video. I think that we know he was onto this. It's just a shame we don't have his voice, because it would have brought a rational debate to the play, because then, the people on the left and the people on the right, all sorts of people would listen to him, and we would have more truth in the media and less crazy cray. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that was a cool protest, though. I got to see your videos earlier today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I met so many people. I met some musicians that I'm hoping to join in with the good, bad music news. And so we can deliver the news with music and hopefully not get so easily censored. So I invited someone to join that. And I've just joined a sort of South Wellington club. And we were 20 people on the first meeting on Thursday. So that was really quick to get going. So nice. Just a really small area of Wellington.
Hey guys, I gotta go.
Okay, thanks for coming, Kathy.
Good to see you.
Been on for so long.
Have a great
lovely
day.
to talk to
Yeah,
you.
go get some rest. You've earned it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too, Betty.
Oh.
So I know it's kind of a loaded question, but what are your thoughts, Alex, on everything that's happened for the last 2 days?
Oh God, the pictures and even the
Yes.
sketches of him in the court, you know, from the drawing person. It was just horrible to see that, and for him not to be allowed.
Oh, we should have shown that.
Yeah, I was really delighted that the CIA assassination got brought up. I believe it did, unless it was just in the tweets.
No, it did.
No, it did.
Great,
It did.
great. Yeah, so I've been trying to follow that, but it's a really bad timing for me. And also, you know, we were doing the protests quite a long time before the court case, because it's New Zealand. So yeah, we were kind of in bed and crashed and missed a little bit of the trial, but yeah, I'm just trying to catch up now. The second day, I mean, it was obviously a little bit more encouraging, but just yeah, I don't know. What have you guys been saying? I haven't listened up to now, so what have you been saying about it?
No, I think we all for me anyway, I don't really know what I think, because none of this, like it as Kathy was saying earlier, like obviously the defense, it happens this way all the time. The defense completely embarrasses the prosecution. The prosecution doesn't have a leg to stand on, but unfortunately that doesn't really seem to matter. So, you know, I don't know. It could go either way, because none of this is logical. None of this is really about justice or, you know, and plus my brain is fried. This week has been brutal. I don't know.
Did you guys get to do anything on Netflix? On the, like, we've got a little office.
They actually, the New York crew's going out this.
The New York crew's going out on Tuesday. They were supposed to go out this past Tuesday, but there was a huge storm that came through New York.
Yeah, we had rain as well, so yeah, it wasn't good.
It was not a good. So they're going to go Tuesday.
I'm going to go to the holding office. I mean, it's basically the holding company in New Zealand, but I'm going to go to that one and just do some candles on the doorstep, and maybe, you know, try and alert some of the staff that works there, because not many people even know that it's the Netflix office for New Zealand. So it'll draw some attention, and also to why we want it boycott. You know, it's so hard to boycott. I've got kids. What do you do?
I know.
You know, I don't pay for Netflix, but God.
Here's the court. What are they called? Artist rendition. God, I'm so tired, you guys.
What I don't get is why the fuck these people still wear fake wigs.
I don't know. And also, I feel like I should apologize because I keep yawning.
Anything like this whole process is fucked, but like they don't need to wear fake fucking wigs.
Yeah, like grow up. This isn't like oh.
Right, like
it's about credibility. It's about
maybe they
what doesn't give you credibility?
You know? Yeah,
they've got to keep up the sham, so they got to keep doing the same thing.
Well, you know where all the lawyers in England, you know where they all go to get their training and to get their registration. It's called Temple. It's that you know, it's that really creepy area, Masonic area of London, isn't it? I think supposedly, but yeah, that's where they all have their funny wigs, I think, and it's supposed to give you a feeling of dignity and respect, isn't it? But
they look silly.
It's the opposite. Have you seen Ali?
I would feel.
Have I seen Ali do what now?
Oh, you know, Alison and her crew,
Yeah,
the London Weekly regulars, they do their theatricals, and the kangaroos with the wigs, like boxing.
I love them.
Yeah, and just beating up Julian, you know, like in the middle.
Yeah. That crew is fierce. They have
to put up with a lot, though.
Yeah.
They have to put up with a hell of a lot of
they do. But they are relentless. They never get.
Put this picture up. This is
Mega Brain.
Mega Brain. QC in
fuck that guy.
Fake hair.
That's gotta be so warm to wear.
I know, right?
Right.
Yeah,
like,
maybe it's gotta be an itchy
anyway.
brain.
It has to be itchy.
Yeah, I just think it just constricts the blood getting to the brain, and that's why we've just got into this situation. And we need to ban the wigs now.
Yeah. We need to start a crusade. Ban the wigs. Seriously.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, wasn't there a judge that let off Lori Love, and then there was a wonderful speech by Lori outside? Well, was that in the night before, and then after?
I think it was
after the
first day. I know that Claire Daly and Mick Wallace both gave amazing speeches outside. Rebecca Vincent's speech was awesome.
Lori Love read the UK policy on like medical protection for doctors. And it says the doctor's highest responsibility is the protection of a child. But like the judges like all walked away to go do their judge thing for a minute, and Lori Love stands up in open court and reads a 3-minute fucking piece about it. It may have been like the Hippocratic Oath, I think it got reported as, or like the UK's version of that. But literally just straight read that in open court. Like like that was just extremely powerful. I think that's not that I even want to like put hope in these judges, because who the fuck knows? Like,
I know that's why like everybody keeps asking me, what do you think? What do you think? Which way do you think? And I can't even begin to guess, because
like the answer to that should be like, we shouldn't even fucking be here to.
Yes, that's what I keep saying.
Yeah, like it's like you got a judge in the Steve Dawsinger case.
Yeah, this is literally the Clark's version of fucking justice right here.
It's ridiculous. It's so absurd that we're even here. Like, again, that the fact that we're even entertaining assurances, or that we're even having a conversation about where he's going to be put in prison. He shouldn't be in prison at all, period. Like, why are we having these conversations?
He should be home or wherever he wants to be.
He should have never been arrested in the first place. Kidnapped, really.
Oh, is that a puppers?
Is that a puppy?
Baby.
Is it a golden?
Yeah, puppy's been missing me all day. You know.
I wish Jack was around because I miss her.
Yeah, we could get them some meat. Yeah.
I know. We could have little fur baby play dates. Yeah. I actually have a cat named Julian somewhere.
Ron Placone still owes us an embassy cat dedication stream.
Oh.
That's like a year-old thing I never asked for.
Well, you should get him to do that.
I should.
How many cats do you have, Misty?
I have 7 cats.
Oh, you're beating me by 1.
Look, crazy cat lady.
You're only beating me by 1.
That's because I just rescued it. Oh, my kid just brought me Jack.
At one point, I had 14 cats.
Hi, Jack.
Oh, my little one-eyed wonder. Hi, baby.
What's he doing?
She's hello.
Or she.
She's doing amazing. She had a little cold like a week or 2 ago, but we got her some antibiotics and that knocked that out. They weren't going to treat her at all because normally that kind of stuff just kind of works itself out. But she's really tiny and she has been through so much already. They didn't want to risk it, so they went ahead and treated her with antibiotics. And so she's doing really well. She's crazy. She likes to attack my legs for some reason and eat my hair, and now she's attacking my feet as we speak.
Our old dog Chippy, he was in the kennel with our Cane Corso, Don Vito Corleone, and I guess something happened, but Chippy's eye popped out of its socket.
Ew.
So we ended up having to go get it removed, like the cat.
Oh no, she had a really bad infection. We found her. She was a Stray's cat. We found her under our porch, and she came out from under the little stairs by my porch. And I don't know if anybody's seen the pictures.
I remember the story. Yeah,
this massive, it was gross. It was really gross. She had this massive ball of stuff. And I ran. My mom's living with me right now. I ran in my house and I'm like, you need to watch my kids. I have to go. And I drove 45 minutes to this emergency clinic in Dublin. And I ran in and I'm like, that's how she got the name Jack. Cause I had no idea. I just found her. I had no idea if she was a boy or a girl or whatever. And I ran in there and I'm like, this cat needs to be seen. And they're like, well, what's his name? And I'm like, I don't know, Jack. I have no idea. So that's how she got the name Jack. And I thought it was cute, so we're keeping it.
That's okay. I have a female cat named Panthro.
Nice.
Who we found out was a female when Kittens came out.
Oh, yeah. That's
it wasn't a boy, was it?
That's a good clue. But yeah, we love baby Jack. She's adorable. She's very cute. She's my little pirate kitty. I got her a pirate hat, but it's still too big because she's still really tiny.
Well, we've got some little Free Assange tiny little yellow ribbons on a little bracelet thing, and we're putting it on her collar. It's so cool. We should do that for the pets. We should start a thing, huh?
Yeah, we
going
should.
Around, because everyone pays attention to pets, right?
Yeah,
I think it's a way. It's a way.
I love that. Yeah. She's something else. She's definitely something else. She's either going crazy or she's sleeping. There's not a lot of in between.
Yeah.
She's got a lot
You
of
don't know
energy.
how
No,
old she is, I guess.
I worked at an animal
She's
shelter for
they
a
the
year.
approximate they think she's about 7 weeks old. So
Oh wow.
just based on like her teeth and I don't know, however they figure that shit out. So she was the last time we took her to the doctor, which was a couple weeks ago when she had the cold, she was 1 pound, 1.147. So she's itsy bitsy.
I don't do pounds. I can't think in pounds. Maybe that's
Well, I
3
don't.
kilos or something, isn't it?
She's tiny. We'll just say that
yeah.
she is bigger though. She used to like legitimately fit in one hand, like I can hold her
Yeah.
like this. Now she's a little bit bigger. I have to use 2 hands, but she is
Yeah.
still very tiny. So
Our cats like to antagonize our dogs. We have a spiral staircase because we're bourgeois like that, and it's like you can see through the stairs, right? So the cats will sit on the stairs and just kind of hang out, and so we have it blocked so the dogs can't get up there. So Chico will just like bark constantly at them, and which one is it that does it all the time? I can't remember. It's one of the black cats.
I'm glad somebody else has so many cats they get confused about which one they're talking about.
My wife knows. I'm like, which one is that? I can tell
My
which one
husband does that.
I can tell the tabbies apart. So like there's Bruno, Panthro, and I can't remember the other one's name now.
Yeah, I have 2 black and white ones. They're black. They're like tuxedos, like tuxedo cats. And my husband cannot tell them apart. And he just says one of the black ones.
We have 3 black cats, and they have varying degrees of white patches. Waldo has the biggest one, and then Zanzibar has the medium one.
I can't.
And
wait
then
for
there's
raccoons.
one more that has like barely any white.
Andrew, do you still have your raccoons or did they go away?
They live outside.
Okay, but they're still there. They're still around.
Yeah, they're still around.
I love
They make too much
raccoons.
trouble.
Andrew literally raised raccoons. Like they
Twice.
love
I've done it
him.
twice.
They like crawl all over him.
It's so much
Do you
fun.
know raccoons are more closely related, or pandas are more closely related to raccoons
Yeah,
Yeah.
than bears?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, even the normal pandas.
Well, so what I want to do one day is I want to legitimately domesticate raccoons because it takes like 7 generations to actually
Yeah.
domesticate a species for real, and then sell them to rich white people and use that to fund animal conservation of the red panda. Because
Nice.
they're like
Nice.
totally fun pets, and like bougie white people would love them, and then you can use that to save their cousin.
Nice. I like that.
Listen to you,
That's-
Mr. Plans.
That's my secret plan.
I'm so
I like
tired.
secret
Everything's
plans.
funny.
We should outro. I actually want to end after the show with Stefania Maruzzi clip, if that's okay, Misty. After
Yeah,
we all
that's
say our
cool. Do
byes.
that. I just feel like I need to apologize to everybody for yawning so much. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Have you guys been having actions as well, or just reporting on them?
Yeah, I've been doing stuff like I went and papered the other day, hung up a bunch of stuff, which I do that kind of regularly. When I can, like when I think, or like, you know, when my kids are in school or whatever, I'll do that. But, and then I also started doing, okay, so I have a Jeep, and there's, if you have a Jeep, there's a thing called Duck Duck Jeep, and it's like it's like a game with other Jeep owners. And so if you see another Jeep in a parking lot or whatever, you're supposed to go leave a little rubber ducky. So I've been making little, I wish I had one. They're in my Jeep right now.
Free Julian Assange
yeah.
rubber duckies.
Yeah. Yeah. So every time I see a Jeep, I go and leave those everywhere. Yeah, it's a good time.
This isn't really a game. This is just Misty
No,
randomly
it really is.
putting ducks on people's cars. I swear it's a game, guys.
Dude, Jeep culture is weird. No, Jeep culture is weird. It's weird. There's like the Jeep wave, and it's a whole thing. There's clubs. I don't belong to any of them, but there are Jeep clubs, and they go like hang out in parking lots and talk about their Jeeps, which is really weird to me. I love my Jeep, but not that much.
But my last event that I went to, like ground, was the End the Damn Wars event. Locally, I'm fighting my school board for
Andrew's
shit right
a
now.
terrorist.
I'm just about to start as well. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
managed to meet up with someone who's doing that. Yeah.
Andrew is
schools.
like legitimately got thrown out of a school board
Yeah, I
meeting.
got like dragged out by the sheriff in the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Oh my god.
And then
Yeah.
I got.
So is this about masks or is this about them jabbing at
It's
school?
about
'Cause for me, it's about
stopping
jabbing
the
on school
mandate
grounds.
before it becomes about the vaccine, because they have mask mandates right now. They didn't tell anyone that they're like, you literally just sign your name on the paper and turn it in, and they're trying to act like it's this whole big thing that you like can't send home to parents and shit for them to just fill out, because it's a form. So it's a whole long thing. It's a form that's given to the school board by a private corporation that is essentially a private intelligence company that's data mining students' medical information.
Well, they're doing that here too, but they're using an app for it, and the app is run from Sydney. And the Ministry of Education pays for it, and my son's beta testing it in a class, and they were doing it 3 times a week.
Like I went as far as to take their form, take all the wording out of it, and just leave like the little basic stuff, write a letter to other parents, and then have my kids distribute them at school. Like I got called by the principal, and they were like, "You can't do that," and I was like, "Yeah, I can. Like, watch me do that." Yeah.
So we're going to demand a independent health and safety risk assessment be carried out on this new activity of proposing to inject kids on school grounds. I mean, like, it's gross. The email they sent me from Wellington High School, it literally said, here's a survey to fill in about how you would like your children vaccinated on school grounds. It was like an assumptive close as an email. I couldn't
Fuck out of
believe
here.
it.
No.
I just couldn't believe it. And I fired an immediate email back to the principal, and I said, I would like to have a meeting with you urgently about the communication that you just sent out. In my mind, that is disgusting. And I think that perhaps a little discussion is required. I mean, but I didn't hear anything back. It's been 8 days. So I'm going to go to the board and go to the secretary of the board and copy them all in and try and make it as public as possible on Twitter. And I've found another parent through this South Wellington network, which is really great. And they're all for Assange. They're all the sort of people that support, like someone, before we even realized we were at the same meeting, someone saw me in the T-shirt outside the cafe. And he was like, "Oh, good cause." So we'd already connected before we even knew we were at the same meeting. So it's this right crew of people that know their shit, I think. So it's encouraging. And I've now met up with another mum from Wellington High. And she was worried about doing it on her own. She was happy to do it, but she felt like really on her own. So now finally 2 of us have met up, and I don't really care about putting my head on the block. So it's already there. So might as well continue.
That's why I love you.
That's awesome, because it gives like the more people that get a little more confidence and willing to step up and speak about it helps that much more.
Yeah. There's
It just
safety in
creates
numbers.
It creates exponential growth too.
Yeah. It always feels a little safer when you have a buddy to go up against something like that. So, Andrew, did you want to close? You want to close out with the video? Like, you want us to close out and then run the video? Is that what you're saying?
If we can, yeah. It's only like 6 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that though, because I'm gonna fall asleep.
Cool. Hey, Yeti, if you could let everybody know where they can find you at the work that you do at Difficult Realities and all that kind of stuff.
You can find me at Yeti1181 on Twitter, and also at Difficult Pod. Me and 2 other guys talk about the difficult realities of mostly the American world presently.
Cool. Okay, so I've got a couple of YouTube channels now. I've just started Good Bad Music News. I've got 3 episodes so far, and all we're doing is loading up the old songs at the moment, but with subtitles and sometimes other bits of images and videos overlaid. We're up to 3 now, and once we get through enough of them, we're going to start doing live streams and hopefully produce anyone's lyrics or anyone's words from the live chat. We're going to turn them into instant songs for people, because the one thing that Timothy and I can do is we can jam out songs first time pretty reasonably, and then it's acceptable that it's not quality. But we can get away with quite good quality on the first time, but we're not very good at ever recording it and ever doing anything professional. So we figure that's our skills. So we'll start doing it live soon. So Good Bad Music News. Obviously listing free press protests for the world, and Julian Assange is at Candles for Assange. That's number 4, and it's on Twitter and Facebook group. And my own one is Greenweaver Arch on Twitter, and Alex Greenweaver on Facebook. I'm still on there even though I've been banned, but I'm back. Small, but I am back.
So is
So
the
that's me, I think.
Good Bad Music News on your Alex Hills YouTube page, or
No,
is
it's a new
it's a different
channel.
one?
It's got a black and white
Okay.
logo, and it's
Okay.
Good Bad One Word. Good Bad
Okay.
One Word.
Oh,
and
okay.
then
That's why I
music
can't
news.
find it then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty new. Like we've only got 3 up there.
I found
This
it.
festival, there's a new version of the Julian Assange song, and then the second episode is the EU database of adverse reactions read out alphabetically. And then the third song is Technocracy Lunacy, which is quite a nice song. So yeah, each time it's pretty much our first jam out that you're seeing, but yeah, no, the Julian Assange one we've done so many times now, it's almost appalling, but I do love it and people do like it, so we keep doing it.
Cool. I found it. I just subscribed, so I'm excited.
Nice, yay.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
we'll be adding more news music there.
Yeah, I love it. So it's it's
So
amazing.
any of the protests that I've been at today, plus Assange activism in the past, and Timothy's in my music in the past, and also other team stuff or world promotion stuff for other events, it's all on my Alex Hills channel anyway. So like probably about 4 years of videos there.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you so much. And
No
then,
worries.
of course, I'm Misty. You can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have another show called Facts on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell. And then I also have Bitch with Conrad Misty every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. This week, I'm going to have Krish Mohan on. We finally got him rescheduled. He's an amazing revolutionary comedian and my friend, and I love him. And he promised he's going to try to be mean. He's not very mean. And he's so funny about it. He said, I'm going to try to be mean. And then he DM'd me and he's like, and then I'll probably apologize for it. So we'll see if we can get Krish Mohan to be a little bit mean, because he's like one of the nicest guys ever. So yeah, definitely follow Candles for Assange if you want to. I keep telling everybody, if you ever want to know where there's Assange actions going on, that's where you go.
And if you have any actions and I haven't picked them up, or if you've seen any actions, please tag me, and then I'll usually add it to the stream. Also, I want to do another big shout out, because I've done several interviews over the week since Rose McGowan won. Because I was on Rogue News in Canada, which is an awesome channel, and that's thanks to Sherry Drums, who's an amazing musician, Assange musician in Canada, and Toronto protester. But more recently, I went on Asia Pacific Today, which is a wonderful Australian, really glossy channel, and I got on so well with the guy there, Mike Ryan, that we spoke about 40 minutes an hour after the interview, and he invited me to come on his regular show. He's starting up a nightly news show. So I mean, they get about 2,500 per episode on average, I guess, and they've got some brilliant people like Pierce Robinson, with Robert Malone. They had all the people that you'd expect to see, and also a lot of Julian Assange stuff. That's how I found them, first of all. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So might see me on there. Keep a look at it. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they're both excellent channels too. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, ready, set, go, because I'm done. I'm tired. I don't have anything else.
Love you. Mwah.
Have a good night, guys.
Night.
Andrew, you're muted, I think.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman. You can find us at action_4 Assange. Go team.
Enjoy this video.
All right, have a good night. I gotta go eat.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too.
Next member of the tribunal, and I'm really glad that she's here in person, is Deepa Govindarayan Driver, who is a lecturer, a trade unionist, and a legal observer at Julian Assange's extradition hearings. So I think at this moment it would be very useful and great if we could hear about your experience. How did these extradition hearings actually look like, and why could they also present a sort of legal crime? If I'm not using too harsh words, but I'm a philosopher, so you will forgive me.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I am testifying to this tribunal about what I observed and what I have been made aware of in the case of a journalist and publisher who has revealed corruption in Kenya, murder, rape, and torture in Iraq and Afghanistan, toxic waste dumping off the Ivory Coast, systematic manipulation of the law, and state-sanctioned torture at Guantanamo, and of course the role of other so-called advanced Western democracies in subverting democracies all over the world and sustaining war and torture, and for the purpose of increasing weapons sales and intelligence operations. States across the world have a long history of extolling human rights and supposedly supporting press freedom while willfully interpreting or misinterpreting the law to silence dissidents. We see this today in the case of Daniel Hale, entombed at the Communication Management Unit in the US, and Stephen Donziger, who was under house arrest and now sentenced to prison. And of course, closer to home in the case of Craig Murray, sitting in a Scottish jail during a COVID outbreak. In the case of Julian, what I have witnessed has, against the grandeur and the beauty of the beautiful courts and the formality of the courtroom and the respect shown and the deference shown to the judges, is cruel treatment. Now, this cruel treatment goes back a long way. It includes isolation and confinement, deprivation of sunlight and association, a huge amount of physical and emotional trauma, which then turns into degrading treatment in the courtroom, where the defendant, who is known to have a serious mental health condition as a result of 5 nation states stamping virtually on his head, and having to kneel in the courtroom, given that he is somebody who has osteoporosis, and speak to his lawyers through a small gap in the plexiglass. It is seen in being given a laptop with the keys glued down, so that he is able to, so that they can pretend that there is a defense being mounted in this case, when actually he is not being given the right to talk to his lawyers in any depth. He is denied his glasses for a period of 3 months when he first entered Belmarsh. And he, of course, has serious neurological and other symptoms, including the lasting effects of physical torture, for example, from a shoulder injury, which took place since 2012, and teeth injury, which has taken place. You know, many of us know how painful it is to have a sore tooth, but to have your tooth pulp exposed and not to be allowed to leave the embassy to get medical treatment is indeed cruel and inhumane treatment. He also experiences, of course, hypervigilance and flashbacks, and these are the result of a continuous and long smearing campaign, which has been sustained through lawfare, where accusations and court processes have been kept in limbo to prevent justice. And the British state has been very complicit in this, including Keir Starmer's CPS. We're also interested in, of course, the complete and utter denial of access to the attorneys under the guise of the pandemic, to prevent Julian from even receiving the documentation or being served the second superseding indictment until the first day of trial. The constant contesting of the use of witnesses, and the judges engaging in many arbitrary detentions, the serious conflicts of interest that we can see amongst judges who have a son who is linked to Darktrace, which is a company that militates against data leaks, and who has a husband who is deeply connected to the military establishment. We are concerned about judges who cause people who are like 90-year-old Daniel Ellsberg to be called at 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 a.m. in the morning in the US to provide testimony when there are other time slots available. We're also concerned about other clearly despicable processes, such as we have seen in the case of Abdelrahim al-Bashiri in Guantanamo, where a mic was placed in his room, and a similar thing being done in relation to Julian in the use of laser microphones to spy on privileged legal conversations, to spy on medical conversations, and to prevent Julian from having any reasonable chance to defend himself. And lastly, the presence of a process which seems to provide a semblance of justice, when actually what is taking place in these courts is a complete and utter travesty and an injustice. And I urge you to stand with everybody on this tribunal as we watch the war criminals, as we watch the judges, and as we watch those like Julian, Craig, and others who stand up for the truth and stand up for us, because torture is aimed at destroying not just individuals, but also the will of communities. We stand together against this torture and against the ill treatment and dehumanization of Julian Assange.
Thanks a lot for your important contribution.